Hi folks, this is my astrological forecast for April 2025. And that is about as normal as it gets. From this moment on, it's going to be a bit different than normal when it comes to this, what I do, because this isn't going to be a prediction. Normally when I do a monthly look ahead, I'm able to say, okay, this is coming up and that's coming up. And I can't do that at the moment because everything's crazy. There's two reasons for this. One is that I'm forecasting, not predicting. And forecasting's like the weather. Sometimes it goes wrong. Secondly, I'm doing this just before the spring equinox in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm doing this on about the 19th, 20th of March. So it's for April, but I'm also going to be looking at the end of March. And there's so much coming up at the end of March that is going to determine what happens in April. Having said all this, as we get into the end of March, we have this really big lineup that's starting as I'm recording now, where we have Neptune and the North Node together, and then Mercury and Venus are retrograding back from Aries into Pisces. And then Mercury is going to stand still on top of Neptune and the North Node, and Venus is going to stand still on top of Saturn. And this is how it stands at the end of March, with 5 planets, Mercury and Venus both retrograde, conjunct Saturn and Neptune and the North Node, all at the end of Pisces. And that's pretty messy. That's pretty messed up, although it's not all bad. And then it gets into early April. And the first week of April, and to an extent the second week, but especially the first week of April, is a continuation of the madness at the end of March. We're still going to be getting insane headlines around what's happening in Ukraine, in Gaza, in America, everywhere around the world. It seems that there's this craziness going on. It's almost like a coup, but a global coup. Whether it's the oligarchs, the left wing, the right wing, the religious leaders, the politicians, it seems there's a desperate grab for power going on all around the world. This is the death gasp of the old. This is not the way it's going to be in the future. But it's going to take time for the future to emerge through. This is not breakdown. It is breakthrough. But we're not going to start seeing the really strong positives of this for a year or 2 or 3 yet. That doesn't mean that the next 2 or 3 years are going to be like it is now. This period now is a concentrated snapshot of intensity and extremes from about the 18th of March through to about the 10th of April, 12th of April. But let's actually have a look at what's happening during April. Mercury will stop going retrograde on the 7th of April. Venus will stop going retrograde on the 13th of April, which is the same day as the full moon in Libra, which is ruled by Venus. But when Venus stands still, it's going to be standing still at 24 degrees for a week or 2. So it's going to be right on top of Saturn. Now, I don't see this as particularly challenging, yes, negative, no. But it does suggest that there's going to be a great deal of fluidity around large-scale financial institutions, financial developments. We're going to see exchange rates going wild, up and down. Similarly, crypto will not be a safe haven. There are no safe havens at the moment, except gold and coffee. They never drop in price. Coffee is the best performing stock of the last 15 years, incidentally. Those of you that do this type of thing. As we get into the 13th, 14th of April, you've got Mercury and Venus both beginning to move forward again. And the pressure's coming off. So it's safe for me to say to you that by the time we're into, at the latest, the middle of April, we're going to start looking back on the previous 3 to 4 weeks and think, have we been mad? How did we buy into this? Look at the situation we're in now. How did we allow this to happen? I don't want to get into the cult of personality. I'm not going to name individuals or countries. But this is a kind of semi-conscious power grab that's going on now for control of hearts and minds, for control of our thoughts. As I'm saying to all of my clients at the moment, this is one of the 2 most intense times of this year. And the thing that I'm repeating almost in every case is, do not buy into the hype and the spin. There's a lot of words going on at the moment and not a lot of substance. If you look just underneath, there's a lot of empty air. By the time we're into the middle of April, 12th, 13th, 14th of April, a lot of the bubbles are going to burst. We're going to start coming back down to a common denominator, and it's going to be a lot calmer. I think it's the 18th of April. Mars will finally leave Cancer, he says, being a Cancerian, and move back into Leo. Then we're going to start seeing more direct actions, but with a much greater direction behind them. It's not just going to be random insanity. And at the end of the month, on the 28th of April, it's the Taurian new moon. That's not such a big deal. So on the surface, we've got this absolute madness astrologically that's going on and being replicated in the world around us over the last 10 days of March and the first 12 to 13 days of April, which is a concentrated and condensed period of I've never seen anything like it. And there'll never be a time like this again. So there are a lot of fishing lines being thrown into the future and a lot of seeds being planted for the long term, but for the positive as much as for the challenging. Now, here's the get out clause. You're going to like this. It's not light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope in navigating all of the madness. Saturn is now at 22 degrees of Pisces, and by the start of April, it's going to be at 23, 24, 25 degrees of Pisces. Uranus is at 24, 25 degrees of Taurus. Starting now, mid-March, running through to, well, the next 12 months, Saturn and Uranus are sextiling each other. Now, Saturn and Uranus are not good friends. They're father and son in mythology. I did a wonderful sketch on my documentary about Saturn on this stuff around Rome, and I opened my mouth to sort of bring Saturn through, and actually it was Uranus that come through. You'll see it when you watch the documentary. It's surreal. It's on the blooper reel because it's quite offensive. Saturn castrated his father, threw his genitals into the sea. There's no love lost between these two. But they're in sextile aspect over the next year, starting now. And a sextile is an aspect of opportunity. It brings windows of opportunity. It doesn't bring fortune or good luck. It brings opportunities and puts opportunity in front of you. And if you choose to take it, you thrive and prosper. And if you choose not to take it, you lose nothing. You just stay the same. But that leads to entropy, which leads to decay. So what's actually happening is that, on the one hand, Saturn in Pisces is going to be sextiling Uranus in Taurus. Saturn sextiling Uranus is going to bring structure into the chaos. It's going to encourage some of the chaos to be done in an intelligent way. The revolution, the changes, the innovation, the novelty, the futurism, there's a sense of new structure coming in, which is going to give guidelines, not rigid boundaries, but guidelines as to how the future will be. So it's bringing structure into the chaos. If you look at it the other way round, Uranus is sextiling Saturn. So it's going to be revolutionizing one's limitations, the changing of our boundaries from concrete and steel into transparent rubber and elastic. So I think that both collectively and individually, we're all going to be learning in this next year how to become more flexible. Tolerant is not that nice a word, so let's use the word acceptant instead, of both ourselves and others. Changes are coming. We need change. We can't go back to being the way it was. But we don't need to be at the extremes we're at now. So I think the revolutionizing of limitations is going to give us new ways of living with each other in a way that isn't going to be so dependent on the old structures anymore. There's a degree more autonomy coming, but that means we each have to grow into our own maturity and adulthood. We all have to become the adult in the room and take responsibility for ourselves, our actions, our health, our thoughts. The world is changing, and we're on the cusp of that change now. It's time to grow up. The apprenticeship and the training is over. This is the cataract at the dawn of the start of a new way of life. Grasp the metal. Make changes in your life. Take responsibility for your life and get out there and surf the waves of change. Dance with it and don't buy into the hype and spin. And study astrology. It comes to a day, it comes to a time when people are turning to astrologers for sanity and groundedness in a world gone mad. The world needs astrologers. Catch you later, folks. Bye.